viewers, welcome you all to my channel Know Your Eyes. Today I'm going to discuss about a very important topic, abnormal retinal correspondence or anomalous retinal correspondence, which we in short call ARC. Now, I already have discussed about the normal retinal correspondence, horopter, Panam's fusional area, Panam's fusional space in details in my previous presentation, the link of which I already have shared in the description box. So you can refer to that link to get a very clear idea about these aspects. Now, moving on to this abnormal retinal correspondence. What do we mean by abnormal retinal correspondence? When stimulation of non-corresponding retinal points produces single vision, anomalous retinal correspondence is said to be present. Now, the stimulation of non-corresponding retinal points takes place only in strabismic individual. So, when a strabismic individual is pointing at a target, that time the normal eye is very easily fixating at the target, whereas the strabismic eye is fixating away from the target because of the visual axis misalignment. And this is what leads to some binocular vision anomalies like binocular confusion or diplopia. In order to avoid these anomalies, either of the two sensory adaptations will take place. Either cortical suppression will take place or anomalous retinal correspondence. In cortical suppression, what happens? The brain will accept the image which is clearer than the other because there are two images. So the image having the higher resolution will be accepted by the brain, and thereby the patient will be able to see only one image because the bad image is getting suppressed. And the other sensory adaptation is anomalous retinal correspondence, wherein what happens, the fovea of the strabismic eye doesn't get stimulated at the same time as the fovea of the normal eye. Instead, what happens, the extrafoveal element of the strabismic eye gets stimulated with the fovea of the normal eye by that particular object of interest. So as a result, what happens, the images forming in these two regions are getting fused at the visual cortex, thereby producing a single visual perception. And that's how a coordination gets developed between the fovea of the normal eye and the extrafoveal element of the strabismic eye. And this is what we call anomalous retinal correspondence. So anomalous retinal correspondence is actually a diagnosis associated with strabismus. This active cortical adjustment usually occurs in children with early onset of squint before 2 years of age, because that time their visual system is in an immature state and their visual cortex is in a plastic state therefore. So as a result, what happens, it is easier for their brain to get adapted with the anomalous retinal correspondence. So that's how the binocular single vision in children gets established in the presence of anomalous retinal correspondence. And this ARC is more common in esotropia than exotropia because we know that the babies are usually hyperope, so therefore they are more susceptible to having esodeviation. So as a result, ARC is more common in esotropia than exotropia. In this picture, we can see that there is right eye esodeviation. So as a result, what happens? The target B is very easily stimulating the foveal region of the left eye, but it's not able to stimulate the foveal region of the right eye because of the misalignment of its visual axis. So as a result, the target B is stimulating an extrafoveal region of the right eye, which is the B dash. And therefore, the image forming at this B dash of the right eye, which is the extrafoveal point, and the image forming in the left eye fovea are getting fused in the brain, thereby producing a binocular single vision. And this is what we call anomalous retinal correspondence. And here beta represents the angle of anomaly, which actually is defined by the shift of the visual direction or the shift in the visual axis. So this angle of anomaly later on we will require in order to measure the anomalous retinal correspondence and the type of anomalous retinal correspondence. The measurement of ARC is equivalent to the measurement of the angle of anomaly. Angle of anomaly I have already shown you in the previous image. Now that angle of anomaly is determined by calculating the difference between the objective and the subjective angles of deviation. So what happens is that in case of normal retinal correspondence, the objective and the subjective angle of deviation will be same. Okay, but in case of anomalous retinal correspondence, these two values will be different. We know that the objective angle of deviation is evaluated directly by the practitioner without depending on the patient's feedback, and subjective angle of deviation is where we are more focusing on the patient's feedback, and based on that we are measuring the angle of deviation. So in case of ARC, these two values are different. So as a result, we can say that ARC is present, but in normal retinal correspondence, these two values are same. The objective angle of deviation is equal to the subjective angle of deviation. Now, based on the angle of anomaly being recorded, ARC can be classified into harmonious, unharmonious, and paradoxical ARC. Harmonious ARC is that where the angle of anomaly is equal to the objective angle of deviation. That means based on the deviation, we are getting a certain value in prism diopter objectively. Okay, but when it comes to the subjective measurement, the patient is able to fuse the image without the help of any prism. That means the subjective angle is 0. Okay, so in that case we can say that the patient has harmonious ARC present in his visual system. So that means what? This particular type of ARC has got established in his visual system long back since childhood, most probably. Okay, because this harmonious ARC usually gets established in order to eliminate any binocular vision anomalies like confusion and diplopia that I have already discussed before. Okay, so this is called harmonious ARC. In unharmonious ARC, the angle of anomaly is less than the objective angle of deviation because there are two values we are getting. Here the subjective angle of deviation is not 0. That means the patient is not able to fuse the images without the help of the prism. So therefore, the angle of anomaly becomes less than the objective angle of deviation, and we say that unharmonious ARC is present here. And in paradoxical, the angle of anomaly is more than the objective angle of deviation. So which are the clinical conditions where we can see ARC? Like in early onset strabismus that I have already explained before, that in early onset strabismus, in order to avoid the confusion or diplopia, either of the two sensory adaptations may take place. Either it can be cortical suppression that may later on in future lead to amblyopia, okay, or it can be the establishment of harmonious ARC, okay, that leads to a proper development of binocular single vision. Next is the concomitant strabismus, where what happens, the angle of deviation remains same in all the directions of gaze. Next is microtropia. Microtropia is usually a congenital unilateral strabismus which is less than 5-degree deviation, and in microtropia usually we can get to see harmonious ARC. In unilateral strabismus also we can see ARC, and in macular lesion, this is a very important situation where we can see the patient with properly aligned eyes, but the patient is experiencing diplopia. So on further examination, we can see that the patient's macula is affected. Okay, so because of the maculopathy, it is getting devoid of the proper stimulation by the object of regard. So as a result, a huge amount of retinal disparity is taking place because the peripheral retina is getting stimulated along with the normal macula of the other eye. So as a result, the patient is experiencing diplopia. Now moving on to the tests for anomalous retinal correspondence. As ARC is a sensory adaptation, as I already have said before, that's why we perform some sensory tests during the orthoptic evaluation to understand the presence of the type of strabismus, and thereby we can also understand the presence of the ARC and what kind of ARC is present in that patient. So like the Bergolini striated glasses test, then the major amblyoscope test, which is actually the synoptophore test, Worthford dot test, Herring-Belchowski after image test, and Maddox rod test. So usually in our day-to-day practice, we perform the Worthford dot test, Maddox rod test, and in some of the clinics where synoptophore is available, their synoptophore is also done. Okay, but Bergolini striated glasses test and Worthford dot test, Maddox rod test, these are very common tests which are performed almost everywhere. Okay, so I'll be explaining about these tests in details in my upcoming presentations. As of now, I'm only mentioning the names. Okay, I'll come up in details of all these tests in my next presentation. Thanks a lot for watching. If you have any input, suggestion or questions to share, then please do feel free to mention that in the comment section. I'll reach to you as early as possible. Besides, if you have in mind any particular topic that you want me to discuss about, then please do mention that as well in the comment section. And if you like my video, then please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that I can reach to you at an earliest with my upcoming presentations. Till then, please take care and stay safe.